Hi, welcome back to McMow Art Glass. We are so excited to take you to the next step of this beautiful floral window that we're doing for a private client. She is going to be using this window in her kitchen and wanted a lot of bright light. So if you remember, we decided to change the glass from what was a glass that had some white in it, which was a little bit wispy and a little bit opal. And instead of using that type of glass, we have now gone to a clear cathedral color. Most of the glass, or much of it, has been imported from Europe. A company that mouth blows their glass. They've been around for a couple hundred years. It's called Lambert's, and it's great fun to go on Lambert's website and take a look at them producing a sheet of glass where they blow it into a cylinder and eventually score that cylinder and roll it out flat to be a sheet of glass. It sounds a little bit archaic, but it is really, truly the most beautiful glass on the planet. It's also the most expensive. So this client was told if this is where that she wanted to go with these really jewel-toned colors, which Lambert's is known for, then some of her pricing was going to be adjusted from what it was going to be. So what I've done today is, just to remind you, here is the original approved black and white drawing for this. It's not a transom, although it is the size of a transom. It's actually an autonomous window in her kitchen. So it's longer than it is tall, or wider than it is tall, and it's just a floral bouquet that was inspired by this photograph, which she printed out and brought in with her when she first started the project with us to let us know what she was really looking for. And obviously it's a lot of color, very little background pieces, and just like in here there's some black background where we are using some clear texture for our black backgrounds. And we are now to the point where we've colorized that small scale, and we recolorized it to work with her new pattern. And so this is what we've got going on right now. So this is, each piece of glass is hand cut. Here's our tools. We use a glass cutter that has a carbide wheel. It's oil fed. It releases the oil when you press on it. We have grozing pliers or breaking pliers that don't have any teeth. We have pliers that do have teeth, and then we have running pliers, which we don't use very often when we're working with rounded pieces because it doesn't really follow our pattern properly. But that's the glass. And because this glass here is called flashed, which you can kind of see. So if you see right there where it's pink and then all of a sudden it's clear, that's because the pink is actually blown on top of the sheet of clear glass. And it's called flashed, and we use flashed glass often when we want to sandblast off the color in a certain area, and we want to either paint it or do something more ornate with a sandblaster. It comes in every color, but the pinks are always going to be the most expensive because they usually have silver, the metal, gold, the metal, or selenium to make it, and that makes it really expensive to use and also to dispose. So for the factory that's creating these, it's an expensive product. So you can see that Jordan has gone through this pattern, and she has created in many of the areas some very light shading that she follows in order to be able to later put it on her table and be able to paint it. A lot of times what she does is she draws on her piece, and this is a leaf, and she draws on her piece with marker, and that marker gets burned off in the kiln. So these are some of the colors that we've got cut right now. A little bit of painting and fired. This has been fired as permanent on this orange rose. It's a little too subtle, so we're going to go back in and add a little bit more shading. These have not been painted yet. So I'm going to take a break from you for a second, and we're going to load this up with all the pieces that are painted, and you are in for a real treat. Thanks. We had to take all of the pieces that have been cut. Some have been painted now, and we had to lay them back in the pattern so you could see how this is developing even further. So take a look at this, and let me explain to you some of the things that we've done. So as you can see, these are also hand painted. The black really makes the lavender pop, and then she goes back in, and by the way, that black got fired, leaving this just lavender. Then after it cools down, she goes back in and she paints this more shaded area. And I think that's fine the way it is. And some of the background pieces are just gonna be pops of green grass. some of these pieces, which you can't really appreciate how beautiful the color is because they're on white paper. And this is a bullseye glass out of Portland. And it is really beautiful glass and really does well when it goes in and out of the kiln. She hasn't painted this. She has not painted any of these roses over here, but she has started one. Here we have this orange rose, which I already brought up in the last segment and showed you that it was lightly painted. She's going to go back in. Now we know, even though the white paper makes these really look outstanding, and when they're on a white background like the light table is, they also pop. But she wants, and we want, a little bit more of the shading to show depth. So where the flower is very deep inside this area, it needs to have a little deeper color. Same thing with these. She went very subtle to start with, and then she's going to go back in and add some more lines and give it a little bit more lift so it does look like it's coming up and folding over. These are really beautiful leaves. I love the color, and I think it's a really nice contrast to the colors around it. Now, we did have one problem with this window. We cut red glass and started to paint it, and in the kiln, the red turned into brown. That's what happens when you put a piece of striker glass in the kiln. That is what it was, and this is what happened after it came out of the kiln. So obviously, we struck it from the project. So we're going to go back in, fill in where we have to with all the painted glass, and then we're going to come back to you again and we're going to show it to you on the light table one more time, and then it's going to go over to a different department and start getting built. We call it building, and it's going to be all put together with U channel and H channel, mostly H channel lead came, and we'll show you that. We'll show you the soldering points. We'll flip it over, show you the flipping points. And then we're going to send it over into our area where we do mudding, which is really fun, especially if you want to relive your childhood. So hope this was fun for you and that you continue to watch McMow Art Glass and our little shorts. We have fun showing you what's going on in our shop. We have some big projects coming up. We have a Dalle de Verre project that we're going to tell you all about, which is a really different kind of glass and most people really understand. And it is a church in Broward County, and we're getting ready to begin production. The designs are almost finished. So we're going to go through that with you, but we have a lot coming up, a lot of fun projects like this one here. When they're small and arty like this, we love them. The whole studio gets excited. So we'd love to make you something beautiful and wonderful. Come on in anytime. We'll show you around the shop, even if you don't feel like that, you have a place to put a piece of stained glass right now in your life. It's fun to come in and see how it's done, because we're doing everything the way it was done, I don't know, 150 years ago. Nothing's really changed. So until then, bye.